Hey, what's going on guys? Welcome back to the channel. I am Anthony Hadley Jr. and as I've stated in previous videos, I decided to switch to the RF mount system for various reasons. Now at the time, there were only two options to go with, the Canon EOS R and the EOS RP. Now not wanting to make too much of an initial financial commitment at the time, I decided to go with the EOS RP with every intent to then later on upgrade to the EOS R. Even going as far to purchase some of these items on this list to go specifically with the EOS R. Now fast forward to 3 years later and still not an EOS R in sight. But it's okay because along the way, I did happen to create a little bit of a kit that managed to allow me to leverage what I did have to get the most out of my system. So I want to go ahead and jump into that with you guys now. But before I do go any further, I want to jump into some of the settings that I use because a couple people had asked me. As far as the color profile that I am currently shooting in, typically I shoot in natural. And then when you actually go to picture info, I have the sharpness all the way to 0. My contrast is set all the way to the left. Same thing with my saturation. And then I do not touch the color tone. Now I am just going to jump down this list because I have a whole bunch of items. Of course, the first thing that this is all built around is going to be the EOS RP. Second up, which I think is just a good like Swiss Army knife tool, is the Atomos Ninja 5. It has 1000 nits brightness. I do use this at times just for an on-camera monitor, especially when I'm in outdoor lighting and it's very bright outside. Sometimes I will also use this for external recording. Now, this isn't going to be like most cameras where you're going to get a higher bit depth or bit rate when you're recording. You're still going to have the same exact bit rate that you're getting out of your camera, except that it is going to be captured in 10-bit color. So it's not like you can shoot in RAW or anything, but it will allow you to have just a little bit extra room to push your grade in post, but not much. The one caveat, or the two caveats I should say, is that the only external options you have for recording this would be in 1080-60 and 4K 24. I'm going to get a higher quality image, and also at the same time, like I said, I can just push that color grade just a little bit extra in post. And most importantly, this allows you to bypass the 30-minute recording limit that up until now almost all Canon cameras have had, which we are now seeing a shift away from with the R5C and also I believe the R7 and maybe even the R10. But I do love this device. I just got a random SSD that I bought off Amazon that I will link below, and I put it in this caddy. But you will also get a lot of media options from Angelbird that will fit specifically for this recorder, so that is something to look into as well. Of course, the first item you're going to need for this is going to be an HDMI cable. This is going to be a mini HDMI to full-size HDMI, and the mini HDMI is right angle, so it fits in a little bit better and it doesn't protrude quite as much as it would if you had a typical HDMI or mini HDMI cable on here. I will list this below as well. Anytime that you want to build out your camera, I feel like you need a good top handle. This one is from SmallRig. It will allow you to utilize your cold shoe and not only have a handle, but then it will also give you multiple new mounting options as well. I really like this one. I think this one was about $60, but I like this because you can put this on just about any camera. Almost every camera is going to have a cold shoe mount, and this also will typically work on most camera cages because there's going to be some type of cold shoe mount on there as well. Next up, and I think the most important thing and my favorite, is this third-party camera grip, which I got off of Amazon, I believe from Fotka. So this one was $60. It goes right into your camera, and then the battery door opens up, and then you can put two cameras because this camera takes the LPE17. Next up with that, I have bought a handful of third-party batteries from Artman. The batteries with the charger are about $25. The camera grip is $65. So for under $100, you have a battery option that will double your battery power and your battery life, and more importantly, this makes your batteries hot swap. What I also do love about this specific battery set and charger from Artman is not only can you charge both batteries at the same time, but it also has a LCD screen which will give you a full indication of when your batteries are charged. It also takes a USB-C as well as a micro USB, but to me it's still a great option to have for both of these. Another option that I have on just about every camera is going to be this Peak Design strap. It's just nice for when your camera is not fully built up and you just want to be able to make sure that you secure it. Another must-have for me specifically, and for anybody who happens to photograph or record themselves or just shoot solo, is going to be this BRE1 Bluetooth remote from Canon. But this runs for about $45, and I would put this at the top of the list as one of the things that you must have for your kit for just about any Canon camera if you're going to be shooting solo, whether it's photo or video. The next thing I'm going to recommend is something that I'm sure you'll see everywhere across YouTube. Is going to be this SmallRig base plate. I'm not going to actually attach it right now, but it would go to the base of your camera. I have another tripod plate based on here already. Along with that would be your rods. For me, I have 8-inch 15mm rods for this. Along with that, something else that I have for all of my cameras, and especially my cinema camera setups, I have these rod connectors. These ones, because I'm really big on like colors and aesthetics, I have this black and red set. So these red rod connectors I think are from Nicey Rig, but they attach these SmallRig 15mm rods to this SmallRig battery hinge mount, which is then connected to the SmallRig mini V-Lock plate, which I use to mount this mini V-mount battery from SWIT. So this would go in here. Theoretically the camera would be on top of here, but I'll take this off for now. So for the camera, there also would be this SmallRig monitor mount, which I would then use to attach my monitor to. The only thing I wish is there was another mounting option in the front, so this would be a little bit further forward rather than being so tall. But from there, I have this detach to locking DC power cable, which I would then place into my battery. There is an adapter that would go into my Atomos Ninja 5. I would then plug this into my V-mount battery. Then this would connect to my Ninja 5. Then the beauty of having this battery grip is you pop this door open and I have a dummy battery that I would just press in here. And I won't lie, I lost the USB connector, but I would then run the USB cable through here and then it would go into this barrel power adapter. So then from there, both my camera and my monitor would be powered. I'm also not specifically trying to press upon you a certain lens to use, but the most versatile lens I have right now for this RF system is going to be this Canon 24-105. It's going to cover a lot of range. If you were using this for some reason as a documentary camera rig, I think it gives you the great range. It still has the autofocus and it's still going to be very sharp. Now with that, I also have a step-up ring on here. It's only 77-82. That is because anytime that you're going to shoot outdoors, you're going to need a variable ND filter. Both of mine are from PoloarPro. This one specifically is the PMVND 2, the mist version. I try to make sure that all my filters are 82mm, and then I just get various step-up rings for all my lenses to make sure that they all step up to the 82mm. This one is a go-to for if I wanted something more low profile, so typically if I just had the camera without being rigged up, then it would be great to have this ND filter on there. But let's say I was going for the full cinema rig feel and look, then I would pop this off, and then I'd pull out this, which is going to be the PolarPro BaseCamp. I have the 82mm ring in here, same thing. Once again, this is going to look crazy right here, but I'll put it all together for the B-roll. I will also list all the various different links for this below as well, but you can see how this rig is starting to come together, and it gives the look and feel of a legitimate cinema camera from somebody from afar that doesn't know cinema cameras that well, because obviously this is just a little bit of a Frankenstein mirrorless camera that's built together. But most of us have something like this before we ever get to a cinema rig anyway. Now, as far as some of the problems that this solves, of course, the aesthetics help depending on where you're at, especially if you're taking a camera rig like this on a professional project. We all know the more professional and built out your rig looks, the more impressed that a lot of clients were going to be. Whether it actually makes a difference in your actual performance or your end product or not, the visual aesthetics does help, and sometimes it makes you feel a little more confident. A more real life benefit to this is of course going to be the weight. So if you're using this for handheld shots, your shots are going to be a lot steadier using this rather than just the small camera. So that always helps for handheld, especially if you're doing like a music video, or if you're doing a documentary shoot, you want your shots to be as smooth as possible whenever you're in the field and you're shooting. The next of course would be battery time. With the battery grip, you're going to double your battery time. I think the LPE17s can go typically for about 2 hours. I'm going to say closer to 90 minutes. So if you double that, you're getting about 3 hours of time. If you then decide to take those batteries out and then power it through your V-mount battery, I think that just increases your battery life exponentially. Then of course, having this monitor on there, that is going to offer better visibility, especially like I said, if you're outside, you have a larger screen to look at and you have a brighter screen to look at with the 1000 nits. I think it also helps with different shot options, because if you want to shoot at a lower angle, if you have the camera at a position that's going to be further away from you, the larger that the screen is, whether it's above you or below you, it's going to help for you to visually identify what you're seeing on the screen, especially if you're pulling your focus yourself. Then with that, of course, it gives you a couple more recording options. Obviously, you're going to record from your HDMI into this camera via the SSD. Like I said before, it is going to give you a 10-bit recording, but it is not going to actually improve the quality of your image. It's just going to give you a little bit more room to push it in post, but that may make the difference for you in having that 10-bit file recording. As far as specific drawbacks, I can't really think of many. I will say that this is one of the few cameras that the Ninja 5 doesn't really fully enhance. But if you already have the RP and you already have the Ninja 5, it doesn't hurt to use those two together. The only other things that I could think of are that obviously this is not meant to be built out like this, and it will take away your ability to be inconspicuous. And one would also say that if you're going to go through the time and effort to build out and mod this into being a cinema rig anyway, you may as well put your time and money into an actual cinema camera. But for me, it's not really about all that. I made this video in the spirit of making the most of what you already have rather than going out and spending money on extra things. So you may not have all of these pieces, you may not even have this camera or this brand of camera. I would just challenge you to look at what you do have, make the most of it. But let me know if you have any thoughts or questions in the comment section below. Let me know what your camera rig or build out consists of, and I will see you guys in the next one.